we live. And like I said last time, I seriously need an intro for this. Because I cannot keep opening streams like this. Last time he told me to put in my favorite time. I don't really have a favorite time. So I will just put in the actual time right now. Well, it's not as accurate anymore. It's just ticked over. The Stanley Parable 2. I will skip. Still put my links into channels like I usually do in different servers. Right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Right. I haven't gotten bucket out the window. Yeah.
Stanley without the bucket? Really Stanley at all? No. No, surely not. Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone? Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it whipped, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein. Of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger. Of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
said the bucket.
Favorite bug
Nonsense.
ending.
The evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
This wasn't originally a bug, but pop off, I guess.
True form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it.
Yeah, this was
us from the bucket. Thank
not
God
the
you already
bucket
have
ending,
all
but
12 emblems of sages, and
no,
the
this kind of ending was already in the game. You could already get out the window.
Been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless.
You've demonstrated such
But
bravery here
they
today.
changed it for the
Come,
bucket.
let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
I think I'm like 1 or 2 restarts away from getting the other stuff, so probably a few more streams after this. We'll have the rest of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. By the way, obviously new microphone and new controller, so we ball.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps, as Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them.
I haven't, actually. I haven't even gotten that ending yet because it's a very sensitive subject of an ending. But you know what, I will go ahead and do that. I can't do it with the bucket though. Yo, what's good, playlist?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yep. I don't know if it's in Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, but in the original one, there'd be some occasions where while walking past this area, there'd be another employee walking down there. I've never seen it in Ultra Deluxe, but I've seen it in the original Stanley Parable.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I've already gotten a confusion ending, so don't need to do that.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've got...
Oh yeah, sound effects are still off.
Gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove
Peace
that I'm
room.
on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The 2 of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Loading screen, I think. I think it's a loading screen.
What do we want?
Alright,
What
playlist.
are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
It's one of my favorite rooms in this game, and I really don't like leaving it. Every time I go to this place for whatever run of the game I'm doing, I like to just sit here for a few minutes, because it's so awesome. See, these were effects that originally released in a 2013 game, which this kind of thing wasn't that common. But I have to go get this ending.
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're... No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room? There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
He's taken away my control before. I'm not sure why he doesn't just do that.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this. No. No, no, what do you do? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for... Yes, perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about.
I don't know if this is an actual thing, but I do like how
You'll see.
each time
You'll
I
see
do
that
this,
we
it turns
can't be
more and more
happy if
red.
we leave this place. You can see that, can't you? No, perhaps not.
Can't go any faster than this as well, which sucks.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
It's messed up as an ending, and it's genuinely... It's a sensitive subject of an ending, as I said. But it is one of my favourites because of how sensitive it is, even in this goofy-ass game.
Maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know it. Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me? I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
Well, this will be my final time going up those stairs and coming down again, so... Yeah, fun.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Could you imagine if you got that ending multiple times and things changed? I mean, thankfully it doesn't, but like, that could be terrifying.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, yeah. I'm gonna try to get another one of those phone calls because we got the shopping list phone call a couple streams back. So there's another one that I want to get.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible?
We had this line of narration before as well. No phone call.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Might as
What
well
could
see
it
if the
mean?
dude's there.
Stanley decided to
Probably
go to the
won't
meeting
be.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No, he's not. So we'll go through here. Come on. Give me the box. The box phone call.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
You know what? Now I need to go to the meeting room, see if anything happens.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Because that was a narration I've never heard before.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided...
Okay, well, there was no special dialogue there. Come on. Give me the phone call. The phone call.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The music's different and the coffee machine's going. That's weird. What's going on with this music? You talk about the heaven ending.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I don't know why, but the music was different now. Nothing changed.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Boy's not there. And also no box phone call. That's amazing. This stream's going to be a lot of just resets because I've not got many endings left to get. The short hallway. Never had that on PS4 before.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
There he
simply
is!
missed a memo.
There he is! Just gonna clip it. And now that I've proved he's in Ultra Deluxe, now I can just focus on getting the box phone call. Whiteboard ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, fella. Go back a couple minutes in the stream. Something happened.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much
He's there again!
it was.
I've gotten him twice in like 3 minutes. That was just Stanley though, I'm not sure if that meant anything. Feel of the Stanley is real.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
What? This is actually starting to creep me out a little bit because these are things I've never heard before in this game.
When Stanley came to...
Huh.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started. And if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
creepy.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Taylor,
open
did you see
doors,
all the
he
things that
entered
just
the door
happened
on his
within like the past
left.
like 5 minutes? That was ridiculous.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I'm still trying to get the box call.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
What?
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of it. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the
Received.
office, but it did.
Boom. Firstly, do I get the call or do I go to heaven if the call happens? No call. Alright. I did get this ending like right at the end of the first Stanley Parable stream. But I thought might as well, you know, get it again. There we go, button ending. It's not really an ending, it's just kind of, it's just heaven. That's all it is. Yeah, great, all these buttons. Awesome. I don't know what the point of that was, but, you know.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
God damn. Oh, I'm missing the wife ending. And the unplug the phone ending without the bucket. Yeah, I might as well go get one of those.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been
Right,
neglecting.
do I unplug the
Stanley.
phone first or do I
Someone
answer it?
you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every
Oh,
decision
he's
by
gone.
yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back
I'm gonna
into
unplug
your
the phone
life.
first.
She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his
Oh,
wife.
you talk about like
The
when
two
you fall
pledge
off of
themselves
this.
to one another. Music
I will
comes
try
in,
to do that
fade to
right now,
white,
actually.
roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to
I'm
think I've
not
been letting you
Stanley.
run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish
Not
their
fairly, you're
thought,
not real.
then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back sack and crack."
That's wild. I'm not saying that. I'm not practicing anything.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Well then. I know you're supposed to be able to get down from here. Don't remember how though. Stanley can't fit through there, which is very interesting, because that's the only way I think of you able to get down there. It's the only way you can get down here, get down there safely. It's not programmed to be able to kill you.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as
I
possible.
know how it's
before the
possible, but
narrative
like, I'm
contradiction
trying to
gets
remember how to do
worse.
it. I've seen it.
Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Hmm. Chair. Whatever.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would.
Behave
That means
exactly
choosing
as Stanley would.
responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Haha, I'm going to the left.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work.
Hey, don't worry, don't worry.
For what? What did you get out of
But
that?
under the
What did
caution
you
sign,
think
I
was
tried
so
and it didn't
special
work.
about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Alright. In that case, rest well when you can.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Behave exactly as Stanley
Behave
would.
exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When
When
Stanley
Stanley
came
came
to a
to a
set
set
of
of
two
two
open
open
doors,
doors,
he
he
entered the
entered the
door
door
on
on
his
his
left.
left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Right. What's... Whoa, I got disoriented there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
This is my boss's office.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Night Shark 115.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He
Night
spoke it
Shark
into the
115.
receiver right there on the wall. I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you
No, I
wanted
couldn't.
over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered
It's the door on his left.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything.
This is another like really messed up ending.
I need this. The story needs it.
The first ending we got in this stream was really messed up.
Are you there?
This one's really messed up.
Stanley, are you there?
It's a really dark game.
Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
That it is. Still got that input
All
there.
of his co-workers were
But
gone.
oh well.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I think I'll get the
What
museum
news
ending
lay in store for our bucket
at the
of
same.
heroes today? Let's find out.
With the bucket and then without the bucket, because why not?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Clearly.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
A violent death, you
The
say?
door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
And we... Sparks.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Bucket.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
That doesn't sound like it was violently crushed to death if it's in my
It
hand.
was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Bucket. The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about this information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets, the greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. That's definitely 25. Definitely. A bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Yeesh. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains that no one can control a bucket. Yeah, the stress bucket, an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking like a reassurance goes in the bucket. A vulnerability is the size and strength of the bucket. Stress is the level of water in the bucket. And then it lets out coping strategies, which are the holes. And then there's that rest and relaxation, doing something you enjoy, rest and relaxation. That's a bucket. Cave drawing. While we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind, we do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance inevitably is for our own good. My bucket now, bitch.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements. If only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
Damn. Rest in peace, bucket.
Already this was uncomfortable. And Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. Oh, and I guess this is where Stanley felt he needed to be right now, in this little hallway. Here, with no distractions, to study room 417. Not to actually enter it. No, 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 no. That would be far too forward. Stanley wanted to know it from the outside. To see it not just with his eyes, but with his heart. He would know room 417 as no man or woman had ever known an office before. That ladder over there. Oh, and that little picture of a horizon or something. It's all just a never-ending parade of joy for Stanley.
Yeah. A horizon and a ladder. Nope.
Ah, no, apparently not. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around.
Yeah, I've already
and got
gotten
back
that.
on track.
Did that a couple streams ago.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of
Heard this so
anxiety
many
isn't
times.
healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Haha, passageway.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written
Now
on
we
it,
do it
the
without
truth
the
was
bucket.
that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
I don't care.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
And drop.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to
okay.
his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
I don't die.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Damn. I'm not gonna read all of this out because there's too many signs. A clock. An office. Stairs.
And finally, he pushed the number 9. Let's see. Stanley walked through the green door. Stanley pushed the big red button. When Stanley came to the lift, he traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Where were all of his co-workers? Oh, I don't know. How about they're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing? Does that sound plausible to you? 6.
Stanley pushed the number
Now look
6.
closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. Still nothing. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of congratulations game design.
You did it.
But of course,
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So.
That room is going to drive me crazy if I stay there. Huh. All almost identical, just things are slightly different. Oh well. What's this way? Emails to the narrator. Huh. Warzone ending. See, this doesn't work because they did an ending where you go into Firewatch and Rocket League. So I'm not sure why that. I don't know. Even in the original, they put you in Minecraft and Portal. Not sure why that mattered. I've already been. How do I get out of this place? There you go. A sign that says exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
I turned off
Can you
the
see?
Stanley Parable.
Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this.
I'm not going to turn off my
As long as you move
PlayStation.
forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't...
I don't have many endings left to get now. That's sad.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
The only way to beat the game is not play. Yeah, that makes sense. I need to get the wife ending as well. I haven't gotten that yet.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Oh, I walked into the door. That's handy.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to...
I answered the phone. The phone.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about...
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife? They'd want to commit their life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Uh-oh. Scary.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
I'm pressing the D-pad and it's not doing anything.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Spent time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy,
There is no dinner.
he began
There's
to fill
only
it with many possible
filing
paths and
cabinets.
destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
The Stanley Parable.
Not that game. Nope.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer.
No wife.
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
I'm pressing the triggers and the bumpers. Nothing's happening. Hang on, I'll press it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And
Just full of dark endings today. Jeez.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Huh. Okay, I see.
When Stanley came to a set of two
I'm gonna
open
see.
doors,
Actually, no,
he
there's
entered
gonna be
the
no
door on
extra
his
dialogue
left.
on that one. No. Let me back! Let me back! No phone
All of
call.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh. Long office.
Stanley came to
I
a
need
set
to
of
get
two
that
open
secret
whistle
thing
shops directly
Failer was on
to the
about.
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly
And then I
well.
have
Perhaps he wanted to
like
stop by
2
the
or
employee
3 more
lounge
endings
first,
left to get,
just
and
to
one of them
admire
I'm
it.
not going to get for a while.
Standing now in this incredible room,
Because one
Stanley's
of the
the first,
endings,
but eager to
I have
get
to
back
sit
to
there for
business,
4 hours and
Stanley
collect 2
took the
buttons.
first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Unplug the phone. I'm going to have to watch all of this again.
You can't. Did you just unplug the phone? Now, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
Am I?
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
I'm not going to practice saying it just like earlier.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
This is going to be so worth it. Probably not. But this is what Phaela was talking about, so I have to do it.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
So apparently it's if I go underneath the caution thing, which doesn't seem feasible. Apparently this is something possible. I can go underneath the caution sign and then just fall. But it sounds like total BS. But at the same time, I've seen it done before, so I don't understand. Come on, let me in. It has to be this way because there's no death plane down there. Well, that was worthless. If I can't get through here, then I guess no secret. Hold on. It should be because there's no other way to get to that point. Other than I think with the bucket, and even then, it's the same situation.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What ending should I go for now? I'll go for bucket escape pod.
This, Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an
That's not
indication of
how it's supposed to happen.
Crushed by the
Are
weight
you
of this
kidding?
revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dump.
I messed that up. I blocked the door off as I was leaving. So now I have to do it again. No phone call as well.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Finally, yes, the bucket. Yes, yes,
The
yes,
bucket.
I love that bucket.
And long office again.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where... Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping...
That's what I was trying to do. No long office. Would you look at that? Lift doesn't work. And escape. What an ending.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
A bucket's gone. Stole my bucket.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I don't know what ending to get now. Oh, let me go do the countdown ending. And I think, even though it's a lot shorter than my regular
Yet there
streams,
was not a single
I
person
need to
here
split this up between two more other streams because I have a few more endings to get, and there's special stuff for everything. Every single time I reboot the stream, reboot the game. Sorry, and then, well, if I close the game, I'll see, lose the stream.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill
What if I...
surprise.
Your door's open, but what if I put in the passcode again? That's a 1. Okay. Yeah, I don't care.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I love it.
The
Some of
lights
the
rose
best
on an
part of this game.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret
I
did this
fell.
place hold?
I've gotten
Stanley
this ending
thought.
twice already, and I don't really want to get the bottom of the mind control facility ending again. So I've gotten that one twice, and I've got it once with the bucket, and I'm not going to do that on stream again. So we just got back through. Wanted the countdown
Wait,
ending, but
Stanley
whatever.
thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible?
Okay.
They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Fascinating to see this.
No, the orders were still missing. For now.
Well, no, that one's still there, but like, I don't need to get that one again. Replacement bucket.
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
I'm just gonna begin the game again though, because I do need to get the countdown ending.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Why am I going
Stanley
left this
decided
time?
to go
It
to
makes
the
no
meeting room.
sense.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
God's sake, narrator. Yeah, I might go for the speedrun achievement instead this time then. If I can do it perfectly. Because I have about 2 minutes to get this ending. Not this ending. I have 2 minutes to get the speedrun achievement, so I might as well go for it. If it's right there.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
There we go.
secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He
If I can
refused to
get to the
believe it. He
button
couldn't
by
accept it.
43,
His own life
maybe
in
I'll have the
someone else's
achievement.
control? Never.
Then I'll come back and
It
do the
was
countdown ending.
unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that...
Did they give me the trophy? Please tell me it gave me the trophy. I did that within the time frame. Come now.
and a rising chill of uncertainty.
I haven't got the trophy yet, but
Was
maybe.
it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Let's hope
How
so.
had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
If not,
What other mysteries
I'll probably
did this
just
strange building
do that
hold?
off stream.
But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze of
I got it.
feeling
Oh my god.
the
Okay, I can begin the game again now. I'm not gonna get the platinum anytime soon because there's an achievement. Or not. There's a trophy where you don't play this game for 10 years. So, not getting the platinum anytime soon, but you know, in 10 years, I should be able to.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
I'll go get
Stanley
countdown
decided to
ending
go.
now.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Yeah, there's a trophy for the Stanley Parable
Yet there was not a
where
single person
you don't play this game for 10 years and you get it.
Disbelief. Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go.
I could cheat the timer if I wanted for that trophy, but I don't plan on it. I'm gonna authentically get it. So more people have gotten the 10-year achievement than the speedrun achievement, even though this game hasn't even been out a year yet,
Through the large door that read,
because this is
"Line to
Ultra
control
Deluxe.
facility." The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible
let me up!
secret did this place
Let me up!
hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have
Finally!
to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley was
Fair
one of
enough.
them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Who knows, maybe in 10 years after I get all the endings for this on stream,
Had Stanley really been
maybe after 10 years I'll do another
this
stream,
time?
returning to
Was
it
this
for the
the
trophy.
reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind
Blind to the world.
But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began
Yeah,
to sink in,
it has to be exactly
Stanley
10 years.
decided that this machinery wouldn't... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you have to
Not like
understand
on the
that
dot, but
there is so
it's
much
like
that
10
machine
years
can
or
do.
more.
You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
I like this
But
ending.
I'm
There's
enjoying
nothing
this
you can
so
do to win.
much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that
Oh,
you
a
have no
door?
idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me.
Well, if you turn on the thing, even if you stand there and do nothing, you will still lose.
From the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
No matter what, you lose on that ending. You cannot control it. There's no way. There's no like way to win. There's no weird solution. There's just you're done. And the narrator shows his true colors. It's a great ending. I love it.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Yeah.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I'm not gonna go for any more endings on this. I'm just gonna Actually, I was gonna say look around, but that just will lead to another ending. Also, another long hallway.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, I'll quit the menu. Alright. Uh, probably stream this again tomorrow or maybe the day after, I don't know. Um, yeah, like I said before, I want to stretch these out so I can get everything and not have to worry about doing quick streams instead. Yeah, hour and 45, I think that's a good enough stream. So, I'm gonna leave it here. Alright, see ya.